Hi everyone, this is Caroline at The Noble Thread. Welcome to my podcast. Today is my first podcast, so it's going to be imperfect and I'm going to be learning. So please bear with me today as I ease my way into this new form of sharing with you. If you know me, I'm The Noble Thread on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Ravelry, and you know that I tend to be pretty absent from pictures and designs in general. I tend to like to be almost like a ghost writer. So for me, this is a new exercise in a sense, trying to put myself out there and to give you more of a window into my creative life. So this podcast, I hope, is going to be about knitting, crocheting, spinning, sometimes weaving if I can find the time, and sewing. It's going to be about designing, the design process, my designs, about my works in progress, and about inspiration and what I find most stimulating in my creative life. It's going to be about hand dyeing. As you know, I've been hand dyeing yarns with natural dyes, so I'll be talking about that too. Before we start looking at today, what I have planned today for you, which is sharing some of my design with you and a work in progress or a couple works in progress, I want to tell you a little bit more about myself. So as I said, my name is Caroline. It was pronounced Caroline for most of my early life. I was born and raised in France, in Paris, and came to the United States as a graduate student. I was lucky enough to get a full scholarship to go attend a graduate program in American Studies at Smith College in Massachusetts. So it was a great time for me, and particularly since I met my husband while studying there. And we moved back to France after we got married for a couple years. I started working on a PhD, and then we moved back to the United States, where we lived in San Francisco, in Marin County, so north of San Francisco, in Sonoma County, in the wine country. And then we moved to Boston, and then 5 years ago we moved to Wilmington, North Carolina. I've been involved with yarn for many years. My last major involvement, apart from designing over the years, was owning the Noble Thread, which was a yarn store in Wilmington up until very recently, when I decided to close it. As much as I enjoyed working at the yarn store and meeting people and creating a beautiful world and community, I found it really difficult to balance the needs that needed to be met for the store and the needs that needed to be met for my family. So I'm sure this is a very familiar topic to a lot of you. And so I moved the Noble Thread back home and decided that what was most important to me at this point in my life was to focus on designing and on hand dyeing, and while doing that, to find the room and the time to give to my family. So the Noble Thread is now in my home. So welcome to my home. You see a little window of it. It doesn't look always the way it does on the picture. I have, as some of you know, I have 4 children who live at home and way too many pets. But it's a good little home, and it's in a lovely neighborhood in Wilmington, a historic neighborhood called Sunset Park, which is very much like a park. If you follow me on Instagram, you see sometimes some pictures of flowers. I go for walks multiple times a day. The neighborhood is full of eclectic homes. Neighbors have lived here sometimes from the time they were born. And we kind of all know each other, and it's just beautiful. It has the most beautiful oak trees. So I'll try to share some of that with you as we go. A little bit more about my knitting history. So I learned to knit with my grandmother, And like so many people I know, I was very fortunate to spend a lot of time with her during my vacations and in Normandy and on the beach. She taught me how to knit. So she taught me the basics, how to knit, how to purl, cast on, and bind off. But pretty much the rest I taught myself. I love to learn and discover new techniques. So this is what has brought me to, I guess, designing. So talking about designing, I want to share with you today what I'm wearing. So this sweater here is Bayou, which I've just released on Ravelry. It was free for the first 24 hours and now it's a paid pattern. If you know how much work goes into designing, I'm sure you can understand why I decided to make it a paid pattern. But I really wanted to celebrate its release by making it first a free pattern. Bayou came to be because of the area in which we live. Even though we don't have bayous per se in Wilmington, I'm very lucky to live close to a beautiful lake called Greenfield Lake, and vegetation there is so similar. So you have these expanses of water and then these trees that just seem to jut out from it, and incredible wildlife. So if you think about it, you have calm, simple water, very much like the body of the sweater that I'm wearing. And then you have these trees, this explosion of green, and these azaleas and various flowers that grow naturally around here, the magnolias and the wisteria. And this is what has inspired this sweater. So the sweater is very simple. And I wanted it to be this way. I wanted the body of it to be almost this blank canvas, to let the detail yoke speak. I consciously chose to have the detail on the yoke be situated kind of at the halfway point of the shoulder. I didn't want the design to go any lower. I wanted it rather to frame the neckline and kind of highlight what I think is the most beautiful part in a woman. I'm wearing the same size that my daughter wore in the pictures, but you can see we don't have the same physique at all, but it still fits beautifully. It's very comfortable. So I really wanted the sweater not only to be beautiful and feminine, but also to be comfortable, easy to wear. You can dress it up and you can dress it down. And it's just really feminine. And I think being French, I kind of like this idea of having something very simple, but then that pop that gets your attention, and that's exactly what this is. The other thing about Bayou is also the construction. So knitting Bayou is actually very simple and gives you a lot of flexibility when you're actually knitting it, because it's a top-down sweater. So that means that you can keep trying it on as you go. The pattern gives you some guidelines with regards to the depth of the yoke and the length of the body or the length of the sleeves, but really, if you can try it on, you can make it fit you exactly. One thing I'm really proud of with this design is the fact that I really worked at making it a size inclusive pattern. So we have bust circumference, finished bust circumference for this pattern that go from 34 inches to 67 inches. And I also give the option in this pattern of making some adjustment to the width of the sleeve, which as we know, we all come in different shapes and sizes. I personally have rounder arms, so it's always important for me to have enough room in the arm, and that's something that I really wanted to make part of this pattern. The other thing that's special to me about Bayou is that I use my own hand-dyeds to knit Bayou. So let me tell you about those hand-dyeds. Okay, so the body is actually knitted in a yak blend, undyed. So this is the natural color of the yak, and it's a blend of merino, yak, and a bit of nylon. You can use that yarn to for socks as well, but so it's a fingering weight, but I really liked the natural tone, and I think in my mind I thought it would really be the perfect canvas to showcase the colors of naturally dyed yarn. So the yoke design is actually knitted with a merino nylon blend. Again, it's a sock yarn, so it's resistant. This sweater can be put through a lot. And I hand dyed the yarn using natural dyes. So the colors I'm wearing are actually based on, I mixed some madder and some buckthorn, which to get these orangey tones. So here they are. And if you go to the website, you can see those yarns. I've put together some kits, actually some kits in different colors, and colors that inspire me, that I thought would be beautiful for Bayou. So that's kind of what I've been doing actually on the website. Let's talk a little bit about that. So the Noble Thread, when I had the store, I used to sell lots and lots of yarns, wonderful yarns that I loved working with. But with the Noble Thread, the way it is right now, I really wanted to showcase yarns that I think are very special to me, and naturally dyed yarns are special to me. The way the colors work together, the way the colors blend is truly unique. No chemical dye can give you that harmony, and it kind of fits with my desire to keep things simple, pure, unencumbered by chemistry or chemicals, I should say. And I always find that chemically dyed yarns have a certain electric feel to them, and they don't work very well on everybody's skin. I mean, with everybody's skin. Natural dyes tend to work really well with any skin tone, and I normally really can't wear orange, but in this case I really can. I feel really comfortable, and I think it really works. So on the website, you can see a few of my patterns. I've created kits for them. So kits for the anemone shawl. For those who know some of my work, I've created kits for Clementine, which is a little baby sweater, and kits for Room with a View, which is a cowl. I'll be adding more kits over the coming weeks. New kits for some of my older designs, so I'm going to be revisiting them and posting new versions of them, and having these beautiful kits with natural dyes. So that's it for Bayou. And before I stop talking about Bayou, I want to thank you guys. Thank you so much for all your feedback, all your comments, for making it one of the most popular designs on Ravelry. I'm very, very touched by this, and I cannot tell you how much it means to me to get your feedback, and to get those likes and those comments. Mostly the comments, really. When you take the time to write something to me, it means a lot. So what about lacking the contact with people? So sometimes I get emails from people who used to know me from the store and who now find that I'm only online. They say, well, what about your help, Caroline? How can I get your help? So if you've worked on some of my designs before, you know that I do my best to help you. So you can always reach me if you have questions. Send me an email at info@thenobleThread.com. You can also contact me on Ravelry, though I do tend to prefer email. It's easier for me to see, and so we can do that. And I'm always happy to answer your questions. Works in progress. So what have I been working on? So I have started working on a new design. Hi, Brownie. So I have dogs walking around. This one, come here, Brownie. Brownie, come show your beautiful face, babe. Up. This is Brownie. This is Brownie. He's a kind of a beautiful mutt. He's a very sweet boy, and he's been hanging out here during the podcast. And then there's Brioche, and that's my baby. That's my little baby. So Brioche was our little shop dog. She's super friendly, and she shows up in pictures from time to time. She's not very serious looking, but we love her. And she's wearing a little crocheted sweater because it's cold today, surprisingly enough. So what have I been working on? Let me grab it. So I've been working on a new design, again, using natural dyes, so beautiful colors, seafoam colors, kind of a turquoise, light turquoise, and then a corally orange color. Those are, if you look at Instagram, you can see the pictures already. And it's a shawl this time. So I'm kind of continuing to visit a little bit the chevron because I love it. So I'm not going to show you too much today. I'm just going to show you a tiny bit of it. But there we go. So this is going to be a summer shawl. Wilmington is Brioche. Stop crying. One moment. I'm back. So I'm not going to show you too much. I'm going to show you just a little bit, but here we go. So this is going to be a semicircular shawl, kind of a crescent shawl, I should say. If you know Wilmington, it gets pretty hot here, but it's really cold in air-conditioned spaces, so we kind of always welcome a shawl. It's a summer shawl, so the colors are definitely inspired by the ocean. I think I'm going to share the name with you. I'm going to call it aquarelle, watercolor, aquarelle. The colors are very much inspired by one of my favorite painters, French painter, Marie Laurencin. She is most known for her beautiful watercolors of women. So there, I've set the stage for you a little bit. So watercolor, aquarelle. But I'll tell you more as we go, as we get closer to the release. The thing I've been working on is a pair of socks. So those are the fluoride socks by Andrea Maury. Using my naturally dyed yarns again, so blend of merino and nylon. I will be putting kits up online as soon as I finish them. So I'm about halfway through the second sock, and I just love the color transitions. It's really fun. Those are pretty bold, but I really like them. So that's gonna be lovely. As you know, as I said, I have lots of kids, and I still homeschool the youngest one. He's 8 years old. And so I knit while I homeschool, but not all the time. And of course, sharing my time between designs and then design proposals for magazines or books. I only have so much time, so I hope I can make some progress at least on these. Well, I think that kind of rounds it up for today. So I hope that you will continue, or that you'll start to subscribe to this podcast. I'm not sure how often I will be posting. I'm hoping that it will become regular. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience with me with this, and I hope to see you again. I wish you all a great, safe knitting week. Bye.